Welcome to Good Neighbors Getting It Done in Western New York. I'm here today with Aaron Gies and Ted Sonntag in Mayville, and we want to talk about the election results from 2025 and do a little bit of an analysis of what has happened across the 23rd and how that might bode for the congressional race coming up next year, and just, kind of do a recap. So, I think everybody was very excited about what has happened nationally with the governor's races in Virginia and in New Jersey, and the amazing turnout for that, and the amazing turnout in California for statewide. There's a couple of interesting things that have happened, like in Mississippi, where they flipped a couple of state Senate seats and now no longer have a Republican majority or supermajority in the state Senate, which will make a huge difference going forward for various laws and referendi. So it's exciting. The turnout was exciting, and I think the turnout in the 23rd was also exciting. You agree with that?
I do, yeah. So I was able to speak to most of the county chairs in the last couple of days to get a sense, and they're saying things like momentum, excited, optimistic, uplifted. Yeah, so if you would like, we can go through and kind of give a summary of what happened. So I'll kind of move west to east. There's 9 counties, so strap in, everybody. So Marcia Wessling Johnson, the chair in Chautauqua County, she told me they gained 2 seats on the county legislature, so they went from 5 to 7 out of 19, and that broke a GOP supermajority, so that they'll have to negotiate. With the town and village councils, they did better. They gained the majority in Jamestown. They have the complete city council in Dunkirk, and they went from 3 to 2 to 4 to 1 in Fredonia. She said in the rural areas, they didn't do as well, but in the contested races, they lost by smaller margins than they expected to. And so a lot of those candidates are energized to run again, which is great because New York has changed their election laws. Some of these positions are going to be up next year in 2026. In Erie County, South Towns, North Towns are part of the 23rd, and Buffalo proper isn't. So Tori Washington, the executive director of the Erie Dems, told me they are very excited. They swept East Aurora, and then out of the district, Amherst, Cheektowaga, Tonawanda, and they won the Buffalo mayorship. Sean Ryan's going to be the next mayor of Buffalo. They won all their county legislature races. In Hamburg and Orchard Park, it was more of a mixed bag. There were some winners, but not everybody won. And he says, they're focused on next year because they have John Rivera's assembly seat, Ryan's state senate seat, which Jeremy Zellner, the chair, is going to run for. And of course, the governor's race, and we would expect Hochul and whoever else runs for governor to make quite a few stops in Buffalo.
I don't want to leave out East Aurora because they did fabulously.
They did.
They really worked hard, and they brought it home.
Yeah.
And I think in East Aurora, they've now got a track record of delivering services. Mm-hmm. They've done a good job of getting things done there.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you need. You got to show you can do the job.
Yeah. So I had a chance to knock some doors with Jess Argrust, who was running for town council and won her race. Go Jess, it's great. And yeah, she was telling me about the sorts of things they've been able to get done. And so they have a record to run on. Which is great. And it's sort of heartbreaking in some ways because there are other places where Democrats have been able to do a great job for the town that they didn't necessarily win. Like I'm thinking particularly of Lancaster, where Sweeney and Borgioli, they were running for town council, and they have done so much, the two of them, to revitalize Lancaster's Main Street. Mm-hmm. They didn't quite pull it out, but we have a lot to run on, and so maybe that's a conversation about messaging or turnout.
But it's also that they ran. A lot of times the seats have gone uncontested for years and decades in some of these places, And that, just getting out there and running is huge. And then that shows, I think that shows the town that, hey, yeah, there are Democrats out here. It's safe, the water is safe.
Yeah, there are. Yeah. I'm getting derailed, but in Chautauqua County, I spoke to Tom Carl, who ran for county supervisor. And, he told me that, listen, I got 8,000 votes. There's 23,000 Democrats in Chautauqua County. So if we can just turn out a little more of the vote, we can win some of these races that were close. And I think that's probably the case across the district. Yeah. So to move on, Cattaraugus County, where I live, the chair, Mandy Bushnell, was really excited. She said they won all but one of the races they contested. Let's see. Our cross-endorsed mayoral candidate in Olean, Amy Sherburne. So she's an independent Republican, and she was running against the Republican incumbent, Bill Aleo. She won in a landslide. She got enough votes just from Democrats to have won. She won 75-25. She beat him by 50 points. So I think that says two things. First of all, Olean was really ready for change.
But not quite ready enough to call a D.
Yeah, and second, I think it's probably true that Democrats can win at Olean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to working with her. She has a lot of good ideas for the town. So Karen Ash, you spoke to Karen Ash actually.
I did.
And that's in Allegheny County.
It is, and I think she was very pleased with the turnout, and she was very pleased with what they got. They put up 24 people. Most of the time, all these races have gone uncontested. They put up 24 people, and they won 2/3 of those, which is outstanding. And of course, made inroads with others. She also mentioned a little bit that one of the towns that there was a big turnout, and there was an unopposed Republican who got less than half of the votes for how many people turned out, even though he was unopposed. And that was the only thing on the ticket. So they were, other than the statewide referendum. So they were turning out for something else, and it was kind of, we don't like you. We're not voting for you. So that, that's interesting. And I think it bodes well for the future, for the next go round.
Yeah, I think so. Particularly if we can find more good candidates to run. That's what it's all about in these rural areas is finding somebody who's willing to put their name out there and run an active race.
Yeah.
Because there is plenty of discontent
Yes.
with how things are. What you see if somebody
Right.
runs and 200 votes come in and they only get 75 of those votes, even though they have no opponent.
Mm-hmm.
That's really a sad showing. But you need somebody to be an alternative.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a huge commitment.
Yes.
When you think about it. I mean, there's a lot of work involved in getting elected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you just got to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
So if you did that and you're listening to this, whether you won or lost, thank you very much. And if there's anybody listening to this who is thinking maybe I could, talk to the Democratic Party in your town or in your county, and see what they have to say.
Yeah.
To continue, so I spoke to Sean Hogan, who's the chair in Steuben County. He was excited about Pam Walker's victory in Corning. She won, very strong mandate. And she's the first woman to be the mayor of Corning, which is also exciting. Mm-hmm. Debbie Shannon won her race in county legislature, and Tim Tuttle may win. That's one of those races that's turning on just a couple of votes.
Yeah.
They added one on the Hornell City Council as well. So to go up north in the district a little bit for a minute, Chris Borgatti in Niagara County. The turnout overall in the county almost doubled. There was a county legislature in Lockport, won by 250 votes. Lockport's not a big place, so that's an impressive margin. As in Chautauqua, there are people that are pumped to run again in 26.
There are a lot of people that don't know that Lockport is actually split in the 24th and the 23rd
Yeah.
districts. That's right where it splits, and so Lockport has a little foot in both places.
Yeah. So South Lockport is in the 23rd. Yeah. So Schuyler County, Mike Lauzell is the chair, and let's see. Of 4 seats available in the county legislature, we won one. Gail Walker won her race, and Eric Asperschlager is down by 3 votes at the moment.
Oh, boy.
So we're still waiting
Yeah.
for absentee votes to be counted. Schuyler's feeling pretty good as well. In Chemung, the big story was Dan Kane winning as Elmira City Judge. He won in an absolute blowout, even though he had 2 opponents, a Republican and an independent. But he got something like 1,400 votes, and they got like 900 and 200 or something like that, respectively. So it's just a tremendous win. In Chemung, they ran some first-time candidates in Southport and Horseheads, some of whom were very young. But they did well. They made a good showing. They lost by less than one might have guessed. And Jamal Malik, the chair, he said they probably would have won if they had been better known. So maybe they can run again.
Right. Next time their name will be a little bit better known.
Yeah. And finally, Max Delapia in Tioga County told me that they won back a seat on the county legislature. That was Joe Ellen Rose. So they have a voice in the county again. And in Owego Town Council, Emily McClintock won her race, and Kyle Whippert came really close, within 10 votes. Kathleen Grant, who was running for supervisor in Newark Valley, she is still too close to call. I actually messaged her last night, and she said, I'm within 3 now. I don't know. So, yeah, Max said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it's just amazing how few votes make a difference.
Yeah.
And, it matters. Getting out there matters, and who is running your town matters. I think Owego, they did well for what, where that town normally is and how they're coming along. So,
yeah. Max, he said he thought there were a couple of factors. The first is just anger at the National Republicans, I think, sort of the right track, wrong track number. He said people are fed up with the idiots. But he said also committee folks are comfortable with get out the vote dialers. So they're a very active Democratic committee there. And so they made a lot of calls. And that goes back to what you were saying earlier with Karen saying, the ones who worked on their races, the ones who showed up, they mostly won. A lot of this is margin of effort.
Oh, yeah.
So how many of these towns went unopposed is amazing to me.
Yeah.
So if we can flip or just encourage people to run and then support them, it make a big difference.
And I mean, it bears emphasizing how bad Republican governance has been in some of these places. If you're someone that's thinking like, is it worth it for me to put myself out there to run? Aren't they doing fine? In some of these places, the answer is absolutely not. I have heard about county legislators who don't show up to meetings and tell people openly they're only staying on county legislature to collect the insurance. In Olean, they put out their first draft of the budget for next year, and it eliminates 84 positions in the county health department. Olean is not a big county, and they said that they were doing that because they want to run government like a business.
Government is not a business.
No, it is not.
It's never been a business. It's services. That's what you're providing, are services to people. You're not building anything. You're not constructing. providing services to people, making sure that, you know, everything runs properly, the roads are fixed, the lights are on.
You want to support businesses, but that's
Yes.
different.
Yeah, that's different.
It's
That's
not-
very different. 'Cause
That's very different
I've worked
than
in both
yeah.
both ends of things, and
Yeah.
what's important in business is really profit.
Yeah.
What's important in government is making sure that people are taken care of.
That's right.
Yeah.
The way I like to say it is government's not a business, but it's not a charity either. Government is more like a household. In a family, you have to worry about the budget, but you don't kick people out of the family because they're not working hard enough.
Yeah,
Right.
that's good. Yeah.
You make it work.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about, you know, the incumbency and how this isn't working for so many people for so many years. But Onondaga County flipped their legislature after 5 decades.
Wow.
So they went from 12-5 Republican to 10-7 Democrat.
Wow.
So, you know, clearly a lot of waking up to saying we can do something about this.
Mhm.
We don't have to just sit here and take what they feed us.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to just talk a little bit about a little bit of the less newsworthy things that have happened, but that show that there's a lot of momentum throughout the country. One of the things was the Georgia utility commissioners. It sounds like it's really something, who cares?
Uh-huh.
But for decades, that has been Republican-led utility commissioners, and they voted in 2 Democrats. And the big issue has been that their utility bills have gone up 41% since 2021,
Wow.
despite there being 2 nuclear reactors that were built in Georgia to try to help with their utility bills. It sounds like it's, you know, it is very kind of wonky, but it does show that those issues are important to people. And when you can bring it down to that kind of kitchen table family stuff and budget, it makes a big difference. The other thing, Erie County, Pennsylvania, they won the county executive by 24 points. That's it. They went for Trump over Harris, and they flipped their county executive seat that had been a 36-year incumbent to Democrats by 24 points.
Wow.
So that is telling me that there's some energy in the small areas that are, you know,
That's
ready to go.
remarkable. I mean, it's just in just a year, it's flipped that much. I mean, that just seems remarkable. And I guess you want to figure out how to tap into all that.
Well, I mean, that Erie County has flipped to that extent may mean that other places, in effect, have tapped into all that. So Erie's famous for being a national bellwether for the last
Yeah,
few
right,
elections. It tends to call how these things are going to go.
Yeah.
And so I'd kind of suggest that if there had been a national election this year, you would have seen some radical change.
Another thing that happened in Pennsylvania, there was 3 justices, I think, you know, that did make some of the national news about the importance of their elections. They had been reelected incumbent justices that were being opposed by several groups because they were for reproductive rights. Not for, but, you know, their rulings were in keeping with women's rights. God forbid you do that. And so there was almost $20 million spent on that rate. Those 3 justices in the same area in Pennsylvania, which is just, to me, a little bit unconscionable that we have gotten to that point in our, you know, elections, that we're spending that kind of money
On judicial races.
on
Well, on everything.
on anything,
Yeah.
really. I mean,
Yeah.
even on a congressional race, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
really?
The
I
thing
don't
that's
think
really
about it.
scandalous to me about that is that kind of money couldn't possibly come from the local area.
No.
Mhm.
So, you know, whenever we're talking about a few people with a ton of money paying a ton of money to influence our politics, that's undermining democracy, whatever kind of race it is and wherever it is. Sorry, Ted, I interrupted you.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I think the question would be, how do you get out of that? Or how do you deal with it? How do you, you know, because I think when people run for Congress, they're raising money to run, and then once they're in, they're raising money to run again, especially
Yes.
on a 2-year cycle.
Yes.
That's all you're going to be doing. And I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's something that I guess I personally would like to see, taken up,
Oh, yes.
and let's kind of go back and you know revisit the whole idea of unlimited funding for candidates. It's ludicrous, really.
I mean, public financing works great in other places. It has worked great in pockets in North America, but it would be tough to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's really strong support behind reversing Citizens United, popular support. Right?
Mhm.
Obviously, the billionaire class doesn't really like that idea, but there is legislation that has been introduced that would have that effect, and that's something the next Congress should take up for sure. The other thing that would help with that is term limits for Congress, because incumbents outraise challengers by, I looked at this yesterday and I can't remember what it was now. I want to say 5-1.
Sounds right.
So once you're in,
You're
there are powerful interests that want you to stay in and pursue their interests. And so these aren't small dollars they're raising, it's PAC money and corporate money.
Right now, we're also having issues with the Hatch Act and at all levels, really, in terms
Yes.
of just using, you're not supposed to use your tax dollar money to campaign. That's the basic premise of the
Right.
Hatch Act. So, Donald Trump putting up that the shutdown is all on all of the websites that, we can't service you because the Democrats have shut down the government. That's a direct violation of the Hatch Act.
Right.
Um,
One thing that we've learned in the last 10 years is that the Hatch Act and the Logan Act, which prohibits elected officials from doing things that might make them subject to foreign influence, accepting gifts
yes.
from foreign folks, really have the same force that the Supreme Court's ethics code does.
Yes.
It only works if the people that already have the power work it, and sometimes they don't. And so those things need an enforcement mechanism. They need teeth, and that's certainly something that the next Congress should be looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for having me on, Kathleen, to talk about this stuff. I'm really excited about it and excited to see what happens next with some of these races, and to get out and support the candidates that are going to run again, and also all the Democrats that just won office and now are looking for partners to make positive change in their places.
Hope we can all scoop them up.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for being on, guys.
Thanks a lot.
All right.